What's the next stage?
Hey there, it's me, Miyazokova. This is a different type of video from what I usually make on the channel, as instead of reviewing something, we'll be making something. Recently, the future of Power Rangers has been kinda hazy. Aside from me thinking the show is mid currently, and other issues you might have seen me speak on, there are a lot of signs that point to the series getting a reboot in a way after its 30th season of Cosmic Fury, essentially ending the version of the show we've had since 1993, which is interesting and troubling news. The interesting part is, well, just changing the show in such a radical way, you've had 30 years of it being in a particular format, is insane, especially with the new company Hasbro at the helm behind it all. The scary part is that it's super possible that this reboot could strip away many of the things that make Power Rangers, well, Power Rangers, or just Tokusatsu in general, in an attempt to make it more popular, even if it's probably the best option for any long-term success, especially in the realm of Netflix, which needs quick success to justify not canceling that thing immediately. So with that in mind, let's talk about how I think this could be approached. The first thing is, what is the reboot going to be about? Personally, I would want them to go to the effort of making a whole new team. Like, you can make them based on the tarot cards and have a base group of Rangers you assign cards to, and have the other cards be a power-up mechanic so they could sell figures off of them. But we're not going to do that for two reasons. The first reason is this video will be branded very differently. The second reason is that they're probably going to be based on MMPR in some way or form. Even if they aren't dinosaur based, and there's no mention of a Zordon or a Rita, they're still going to use that MMPR high school aesthetic, that color scheme, and character archetypes. So I'm trying to envision what it could be. I think it's best to try and mix up those elements. But okay, so what's the format of the show here? The show will obviously be on Netflix, and the idea is to have 3 seasons with about maybe 8 to 10 40-minute episodes per season. That 40-minute episode deal is another thing I'm just doing because that's what I know will probably be done with the show, especially the showrunner Jonathan Entwistle's track record with show formats. Each one of the 3 seasons will focus on a different thing. The first season will focus on establishing the first 5 Rangers and developing their dynamic. The second season will focus on the introduction of the Green Ranger, covering the events of Green with Evil up until the midway mark of the season, with the second half being used to get our 6th hero to be an established member of the group and the introduction of Titanus. With the third season dealing with the death of the Green Ranger and our Ranger's final battle with Lokar. You may be confused on who that last guy is, but I'll remind you once we talk about season 3. But essentially, the premise is like MMPR, where 5 teenagers with attitude are chosen to be Rangers. But what's different is the reason why they're chosen. Instead of chance, they're actually the 5 descendants of warriors from the ancient past, with this version of Zordon being what's left of that original group's mentor, after being betrayed by Rita Repulsa, who he has a unique relationship with, which we'll talk about when we get to Lokar. Alpha is also there, existing to look over the powers, as Zordon no longer can. But to get to the Rangers, their character arcs really focus on the idea of learning from the past and not repeat those mistakes, as every time a Ranger transforms, they gain more and more of the memories of their ancestors, and they begin to reflect on them. Like, for example, Billy is still the typical nerd who has a hard time interacting with people. This is contrasted by his past self being this more confident and outgoing guy, giving Billy the motivation to break out of his shell while still staying true to himself. The same goes for Zach, a guy who puts up a front of being a cool guy to hide his emotions, and learns to be more open with his emotions by reflecting on his ancestor, who was open with how he felt. Trini is a person with a superiority complex, with a hard time working with others, but they learn that it's okay to work with others by seeing how her ancestor was more of a team player. Kimberly is overly positive to the point where it's toxic to the people around her, learning to be a little more realistic by seeing her ancestor, who was essentially a realist in her mentality. Jason is a huge slacker, essentially just getting by in life, and he learns to be more responsible by seeing his ancestor, essentially the perfect leader type. But again, the point isn't to become like their ancestors, but adopt those traits to become better people, as their ancestors have flaws as well, especially Jason's ancestor, as his responsibility has caused him to make a variety of decisions that vary in morality, such as him killing the Green Ranger, as revealed in the 2nd season. After the season 1 finale, where I came up with the idea that they beat up Goldar to just prove how cool they've become so far, the 2nd season could start with us meeting Jason's cousin, Tommy, or the descendant of the Green Ranger. After stumbling upon the command center and grabbing his morpher, he's flooded with the memories of his ancestor, and fight against the Rangers on instinct, not knowing their true identities, with Rita taking the opportunity to take the kid under her wing, as he reminds her of her deceased son, using the sword of evil to tighten her control over him. So it's up to Jason now to decide what to do with his cousin, and when given the opportunity to kill him, he simply can't, instead showing Tommy his identity, and defying fate by making the Power Rangers a 6-man team once again, leading the 2nd season to spend the rest of its time building a relationship between Tommy and the other 4 members of the team, and showing off the different Zord combinations. The 3rd and final season will be focused in its first half on Tommy's death, as the evil sword effect has essentially poisoned him, causing him to slowly die, and transforming into the Green Ranger is only making it worse. So Zordon tells him of a solution to find the water of life, but it comes with the consequence of someone else may die if he drinks it. So Tommy has a choice: either take the drink and let a kid die, or give it to the kid and die. With Tommy choosing to give it to this kid, repeating the history of the Sixth Ranger dying, but instead of dying as a villain, he died as a hero, leading to Jason gaining the Dragon Sword power, which he uses in battle from that point onward. The entire team using it at the same time in the final episode against Lokar, the guy who started the battle between Zordon and Rita, with Lokar having manipulated Rita's heart when her son died, causing her to destroy the body of her husband, Zordon, causing the ancient world of Eltar, which we now call Earth, to go to ruin. Lokar taking on the guise of her son Kai in order to manipulate her in the final season. Before the Rangers and Zordon are able to get her to get over her son, the team, having killed Lokar for good, allows Rita, Zordon, and her lackeys to all finally leave this world and rest in peace. Yeah, that was kind of a lie, and again, you might not get to that second season film with Netflix. You might have also noticed I use a lot of Zoo Ranger only elements, such as the witch having a son and the ancient warriors thing, as I feel if we're going to go to the MMPR well again, it would be in our best interest to try and use some of them elements that we didn't use on the first go around. But there were 2 more Rangers on that thumbnail, right? As we're moving on to a Die Ranger adaptation in the theoretical world, where this show is popular enough not to get immediately canceled. I do this as one of the things I want to get fans used to, is if we're in this different era of Power Rangers, is that these shows can radically change in aesthetic and cast. We're not going to do it with the cast necessarily. We are going all in with the Die Ranger elements, as our 5 remaining Rangers are recruited by Saba to fight the evil Lord Zed and his army of monsters. This will be a 2-season affair, also introducing a new character, known as, let's just call him the Die Ranger kid's name, or Ko, the White Ranger, who is the kid Tommy saved, with a 2-season storyline following the previous Rangers in their senior year of high school, passing lessons and morals on to Ko, who's a freshman and very inexperienced at being a Ranger compared to them. Especially Jason and Ko, as Ko's egotistical personality that caused him to not take anything too seriously, remind Jason of how he was in the previous series, causing him to whip Ko into shape, especially if he wants to be Tommy's successor like he claims. Getting people used to a change in aesthetic while also still changing around the characters a bit with Ko. Then you get to the third and final iteration that I'll talk about in this video, at least, which is an adaptation of the Kalki Ranger ideas, taking place 3 years after the previous iteration, as Ko is now a senior, becomes a Red Ranger, when recruited by the 4 other Ninja Rangers, led by, let's call her Tsuruhime, and this is where the version of the characters of Adam, Rocky, and Aisha come in, or introduced as Black, Blue, and Yellow Rangers respectively. Also, Tsuruhime could be seen as a version of Cap, but to a lesser degree. They fight the evil Master Vile and his group. This eases people into the idea of a new team with one familiar guy, and everyone else being completely different. That way, if these iterations are successful, you can justify completely replacing the cast with any possible iterations after that. With this new group, you get the team dynamic of our Red Ranger having to prove himself to the rest of the team, due to keeping his rather egotistical personality between the seasons. Blue, or Rocky, is the easiest to convince, as he's kind of the least serious about being a ninja compared to the rest of his family. Oh yeah, the other Ninja Rangers were adopted by Tsuruhime's family in the story, and basically treat each other like siblings. Black, or Adam, is able to get on Red's side due to seeing how even if he doesn't follow what he believes are the standards for being a Ranger, that being a Ranger is about being dedicated to the cause, which Ko definitely is. Yellow, or Aisha, is able to get on Red's side by seeing his prowess in battle, and seeing him as her rival in ninja skills on the team, making them quick friends. Tsuruhime is the one that's the hardest to get on Red's side, as she sees his joining the team as encroaching on her leadership with a guy who seems like an idiot in her opinion. But Ko shows more than enough that he's willing to be led by her, if needed, allowing for the team to come to true harmony. You could also introduce Ninja here as the mentor, but make him a bit more active than he was in MMPR Season 3. Also, at the end of this series' second season, as a grand finale, all the Rangers, even Tommy from the dead, come together and defeat Master Vile, ending a 7-year run of the series. But that's just some hypotheticals I came up with for how you could do it. This will probably be very different from what they actually do, but I had some fun coming up with these ideas. If you liked the video, leave a like, subscribe, and put in any feelings you had about the video in the comments below. This is me, guys, Lakova, signing out.